All right. So a little bit of that music hour there. Welcome, you guys. Let's take a look here. Switch over to camera so we can see each other. Welcome. No viewers just yet, or maybe the database here is a little bit outdated. But I wanted to get a couple of things out of the way. Hopefully the audio is good. We'll see on the replay whether or not it comes through or not. Let's take a look here. Let me get rid of a few features here. Make sure all our do not disturbs are off and we can accept phone calls. Looking forward to hearing from a lot of you guys. 13 viewers, just refreshed. Thank you guys for stopping by. This is the Sunday Truckin' Call-In Show. So let me just make a few small adjustments. Make sure we get our browser in. We got a good show for you guys today. Boom, boom. And we're gonna go like this. Bam. So welcome to the Sunday Trucking Calling Show. You guys let me know in the chat, please, if the audio sounds good, everything looks good, everything's working, because, we've had those audio problems out of the 5-6 shows that we did. We only had one good one with no problems, so I just want to make sure everything's still nice and good. If you could let us know in the chat, would be truly fantastic. Let's see here, make sure this is all refreshing and we're able to see. Welcome. Thank you, guys. We're going to get started in just a moment. Let me just switch a few things around here on my desktop. Here we are. Let's see. I think that's a mistake. That's not what was supposed to happen. There we go. Alrighty, guys. So here we are. Thank you for the viewers. Thank you for stopping by, you guys. Please let me know in the chat if the audio is fine, if it's coming through nice and clear. If not, we'll try to make adjustments. But yeah, Sunday Trucking Call-In Show, AFT Dispatch, A2C Logistics. We do these every Sunday for about a couple hours. It's a call-in show. You guys can give us a call at 801-448-6363. Hit option 3. It'll come to me. Alex will not be with us today, so it's going to be a little bit slower. But I do have, I think, a good show for you guys. Most of the stuff will go through kind of a slideshow that I created, a little bit different from last week. Well, this is the 17th of March. Guys, we're in the second half of March. Pardon me. Alrighty, so let's take a look here. So as always, guys, this is not financial advice. We're going to start off with this. A little bit slower here with the refresh on the, on the live stream. So hopefully that'll normalize here as the bandwidth picks up. So our YouTube videos, all of them, everything on our channel, including these live streams, they are for education purposes only and reflect our personal opinions. Do your own research and consult a licensed advisor. I just wanted to make that shorter, all right? Do that before making financial decisions. The last one was a little bit long. So here's some of the things we're going to be talking about here. The NHTSA traffic fatalities, which will lead us to the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems called ADAS, which is something that has been in development for a very long time, and it is coming into the trucking industry, into the freight markets. Make sure we got us. All right, here we go. Now we can hear a little bit better. But the primary part of this entire thing that we're doing today is going to be, as you probably saw on the thumbnail, on the video thumbnail, is the Biden's 16-year plan to make trucking great again, I suppose. Then we have the MOVE Act, something we're going to definitely discuss as well, which has had some questions in my mind. Love to hear from you guys, what you guys think. The freight industry insights that we're going to cover based on what we've seen in January, February, now in March, and what are we seeing coming into April and May and all the way through July, which is just generally the metric that we're shooting for. What happens then is going to be very, indicative up to that point. It's going to be indicative of what's going to come to the rest of the year and, of course, into 2025. But let's not go too far. And the last thing we're going to do, which will not be on the slideshow here, is going to be the U.S.-Mexico trade. We made videos about all of these things. We've talked about the MOVE Act. We've talked about the U.S.-Mexico trade. We've talked about the NHTSA fatalities over the years. And this time we're going to actually look at some of the, and some of these might be actually broken up, screwed up. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, they published some information back in 2016 looking at 2015 data. This was the Traffic Safety Facts Research Note, and it showed that the nation lost over 35,000 people in auto crashes. Now, not necessarily semi-trucks, but just in auto crashes on U.S. roadways during 2015. This was a 7.2% increase, and it was the largest percentage increase in nearly 50 years. That kind of kicked off what was actually going to be moving forward with all the changes that we started to see in the trucking industry. So 94% of those accidents were caused by human error that were preventable, and the rest of them were by environment and mechanical failure. So only about 6%. So the way that they're looking at it is that if they could put in technologies and different types of systems in place for the semi trucks, then they could avoid having at least some of those accidents. Now, the majority of this is going to be in small cars, trucks, and SUVs, things like that. But we're already seeing certain implementation of these technologies in current brand new models. So thank you guys for sticking around. Sorry to see some of the guys leave. Hopefully we'll catch you guys in a replay. So what this led to is the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, ADAS. And again, some of your trucks already have these things on a certain level. There's about 5 or 6 different levels of it. Most of ours in the cars are from level 0, 1, and possibly 2, moving forward to additional autonomy and additional, computerized systems that were put into place in the next levels. And we'll look at that. I actually have a graphic I'm going to try to pull up for you guys so you guys can take a look at that. So this is what ADAS is a suite of systems. This is not a company. This is just a suite of systems of technologies that prevent accidents. So some of the examples would be pedestrian detection, pedestrian avoidance when it stops, or like when you're backing up and it stops for you, things like that. Lane departure warnings and corrections, those annoying things when they beep when you kind of cross over into another lane. I mean, it's got its place. I know they're annoying, but in many cases they even have correction where you can actually straighten your steering. So some cars do come with that. Traffic sign recognition. They're able to read speed limit signs. They're able to gain information from GPS, but also, from reading speed limit signs and other traffic signs, things like that. And automatic emergency braking, which I find kind of annoying. It's a little bit scary when it happens. In my opinion, it's made several mistakes when I was driving, and those are the things that I've seen in regular cars. So if that's coming to semi trucks, snow, ice, bad conditions, you got automatic emergency braking, you've got lane departure correction, and the different things that it may misread. I was driving like a month or 2 ago, and a bunch of snow hit one of my sensors on my truck, and basically just went off, and there was no way to turn it off. It was just super annoying. So these things are going to need a lot of work. Finally, blind spot detection, things like that. Now, some of the other common ADAS applications that we saw were actually adaptive cruise control, glare-free high beam, and pixel light, which actually shifts the way the lights are going to be moving. Also, there are features for dimming the lights for oncoming traffic, things like that. Some of these things you guys have seen on your cars. Adaptive light control was one of those. Automatic parking features, autonomous valet parking, navigation systems that we're all used to and we use every day. But also things like night vision, unseen area monitoring, automatic emergency braking that we've talked about earlier. Crosswind stabilization was interesting, where it stabilizes the equipment against crosswinds. Driver drowsiness detection, where it gives you a little coffee cup and tells you that you should pull over and get some rest. Driver monitoring systems. Driver drowsiness detection, driver monitoring systems. And then what they call is 5G and V2X, which is V2X is being able to basically connect to anything. So X stands for anything or everything. So using 5G technologies, very fast processing power, and be able to do things in real time with the entirety of your entire vehicle. So imagine all that coming into the semi-truck world. Please, guys, make sure to like and subscribe, and share the content that we produce. Now, the majority of what I wanted to really talk to you guys about today was Biden's 16-year plan. Okay, Biden's 16-year plan is going to be his legacy. This is what he's going to be leaving the country with, and this is likely going to outlive him unless it gets vetoed out and changed, audited, edited, changed up, right? So the Biden administration has chosen 12,000 miles of freight-heavy interstates and major container ports to roll out a 16-year plan. Now, guys, I want to make sure you guys are paying attention to this one, because this is going to take a minute to get through. I'm going to be very meticulous with the details, but this is also going to be just loud and clear in terms of what we can expect over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Where is the industry going? And in many ways, if you have the additional money, where should you invest your money? Outside of trucking or even in trucking. But the point is that where is the future of transportation, logistics, freight, trucking, right? So this is what we got going on. Freight heavy interstates and major container ports are going to be rolling out a 16-year plan. Plan involves installing battery charging and hydrogen refueling stations. Keyword, hydrogen. There's so much movement in hydrogen. You guys know about the Toyota Mirai. They've been working on that thing for like 15 years. Mainly just in California. There's not enough stations, but there's been additional improvements to the technology with being able to compress it more efficiently at a lower cost, and technology will continue to bring the cost down. I personally think that is the future in terms of fuel cells. It's going to be hydrogen. Now, how we're going to get there and how long it's going to take, that's up for debate. But I really don't think it's going to be purely EV. You need a generation unit and a different way to have something that you can burn off to produce electricity than plugging it in somewhere, right? So they're going to be installing these charging and hydrogen fueling stations specifically designed for electric trucks. Electrification of the freight industry. We've been talking about that topic for probably close to 4 years. We have multiple videos that we've talked about. And if you watch those videos, you'll see that it's evolving, it's changing. There are more entrants into the industry. There's more money going around for the advancement of this technology. And so we're going to see a lot more of this happening. Now, there's also the National Zero-Emission Freight Corridor Strategy. This is all part of it. Super interesting. Here's what we got. This strategy, and I've kind of paraphrased a lot of this stuff. You can pull this up. In fact, I'll show you guys a little bit later the 318-page document that shows you all this, provided, for all you guys looking for sources, fact checkers, whatever. It's all out there. It's a PDF provided by the federal government where all of this is from. This is just like a little bit of it. Okay, so this strategy, implemented in 4 phases, we'll look through all of them, aims to accelerate the adoption of zero-emission trucks. Initially, it targets local and regional trucking operations, first and last mile delivery services, and port drayage. So where are we looking? We're looking at LTL guys, we're looking at your hotshot guys, we're looking at first and last mile delivery services, we're looking at your guys at drayage, we're looking at intermodal type of shipments. These operations will be focused on priority hubs and freight ecosystems centered around major container ports. You're going to see this evolve in the next few slides. So what do we have? We have phase 1. Phase 1, and it goes in spurts, in pieces of time, right? So this one spans from 2024, starting this year, to 2027. So these 4 years. It prioritizes hubs based on freight volumes, includes establishing 100-mile freight ecosystems around major container ports like the Port of Los Angeles and Long Beach, the Port of Authority of New York and New Jersey, the ports of Seattle and Tacoma, and of course the Port of Miami, as well as Houston Port Authority and the Port of Savannah, Georgia. All of these we've talked about ad nauseum over the last several years. These are some of the biggest ones, the biggest movers in terms of volume of freight, and that's what they're going to focus on first. All right. Now, phase 2 is going to go right from 2027 to 2030. This phase introduces hydrogen fuel cell electric truck technology. Here's the hydrogen again. All right. This is where we're moving over the next 6 to 7 years, guys. It also expands operations to include increased regional goods distribution, such as port drayage and initial deployments of long-haul transportation services. Okay. Now we're going to be getting into some of the more OTR stuff, right? So the semi-trucks running diesels, they're just going to be squeezed with EPA regulations, with all sorts of other things. But the final nail in the coffin is going to be this, because it's going to require the industry to switch over. All right. Next, what do we got? We got stage 3. We have phase 3. Phase 3 is from 2030 to 2035, which is interesting. Actually, I noticed that I was reading lots of articles on this, and in fact, some of the biggest names out there, it looks like people don't really, verify the AI stuff that they're producing, because it seems like it's AI stuff they're producing, because every website must be copying everybody on FreightWaves or something, because FreightWaves is missing phase 3, and everyone else that talked about it, they're also missing phase 3. So I had to, after reading all this stuff, I actually ended up having to go through, and that's how I got to that 318-page document, which I'll show you, and was able to get to the phase 3, and which is an interesting one, because phase 3 is from 2030 to 2035. This is where your ZEV, zero emission, vehicles, usually ZEV, but it's the initial significantly expands in research. It includes more ports, freight facilities, and a much larger portion of the national highway freight network. As ZEV corridors, these corridors prioritize both electric battery and hydrogen fuel cell trucks with infrastructure for refueling along the way. This expansion aims to decarbonize the transportation industry of over 2 billion tons of goods annually, with 43% of the benefits going to disadvantaged communities. So here's that ESG stuff coming in, and all the equality stuff, and we're going to save this money, we're going to put it somewhere else. This reminds me quite a bit about some of the unused COVID funds that they just decided to, without a vote, to let's just do this with this money. Let's give it to these people. Let's give it to those people. So this is very, very similar. But they're telling us what they're going to do with it. Finally, we got phase 4. By the final phase 4, which extends from 2035 to 2040, the strategy expands beyond intermodal hubs and port facilities to include truck parking facilities. These facilities will increasingly cater to zero-emission trucks across all use cases, covering local, regional, and long-haul transportation needs. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. So by 2040, I promise you, you're not going to have any diesel trucks out there just running and doing what they do. Now, what they're saying is that this actually aligns with the goals. The strategy aligns with Biden administration's goal of promoting at least 30% zero-emission medium and heavy-duty truck sales by 2030 and reaching 100% of the goal by 2040. This effort is part of a broader initiative to achieve net zero emissions for the nation by 2050. So that's outside of just cars and trucks and things like that. So big time movements over the next 15, 20, 30 years. We're not going to recognize the country that we live in. The next one I wanted to talk with you guys about is the Federal Highway Administration role in all of this, because the Federal Highway Administration is a key player in implementing this specific strategy that we just talked about. They're working to grow the nation's EV charging network, encourage clean commerce within the freight community, and support President Biden's environmental objectives. What I wonder about is what is the freight community? Where do I join? Well, you join right here, guys. This is the freight community. Like and subscribe. Make sure you share these videos when you're watching them later. We're going to keep on keeping on. Thank you guys again. If you could please smash the like button, make sure to hit that. It just really helps get these videos out. Live streams are really difficult to get out there. Super, super cool that you guys stop by. And again, you guys can give us a buzz, 801-448-6363. I think I might have a little... Let's see, there it is. There's a number, 801-448-6363. And then just hit the option 3, and that'll come over here, and I'll be more than happy to answer your call. Hopefully we don't have a prospect calling in looking for services, and because I won't know the difference. So you guys can play a practical joke on me. Nonetheless, guys, the modernization operations for vehicles and emergencies, MOVE, which was acronym for MOVE. It's the Modernization Operations for Vehicles and Emergencies Act. Very interesting. It makes me ask a bunch of questions. This is a bill, a proposed bill that aims to give states more authority to waive truck weight limits, especially during emergencies or supply chain disruptions. I wonder why. What are they getting us ready for? What do they need? What is it that states need more authority to, on taking over trucks and during emergencies or supply chain disruptions. So this gets worse. Take a look. The purpose of the bill, it's intended to remove roadblocks and red tape that could hinder supply chains, particularly during crises like the pandemic that we saw. The MOVE Act broadens the circumstances under which federal weight limits on interstate highways can be waived. This includes natural emergencies, slow overall movement, freight traffic congestion, or other significant disruptions in the supply chain. So very, very interesting in that sense. Very, very interesting. Why? What are they getting us ready for? The duration of the waivers under this proposed legislation would waive the weight limits. It could remain in effect for up to 270 days compared to the current 120-day limit. States would also have the option to extend these waivers for an additional 90 days. So 270 days plus another 90 days, that's 360 days. So we're just 5 days short of a year, right? So they could just take over everything for a year and tell you what to do, basically. In response to those saying, guys, many of you guys, and I was going to bring this up, but I've had some folks out there in the comments, like one guy recently said, and I will respond to him, that, you know, these rates suck. This is not going to work. You got to be at between a minimum of $3 to $9 per mile. Like, this is just ridiculous. $3 to $9 per mile is the minimum what we should be paid. I always want to, you know, I wish people would leave their phone number. I'd love to call them and ask them where they're getting their data from. Where's their information coming from? So, in response to those saying that the rates haven't improved, I remind you guys to look at things from a macro perspective, not micro. We did this, you know, we talked about this just literally the other day. So here's a quote by Todd Mayton at FreightWaves based on the data provided by a recent Cass Freight Index report. So this is going to clearly show you that things are actually improving. You just have to zoom out a little bit. Shipments increased 7.3% from January, which is up 2% when adjusted for normal seasonal trends. And we're just 4.5% lower year over year. So the year over year decline was the smallest in 10 months and 3.1 percentage points lower than January's decline. So things are improving. It flattened out in February. While seasonality remains soft in the near term and there are no more extra days on the calendar, this is referring to the 29th day of February this year that we had. That's also referring to some of the seasonal problems that we've had in terms of January and February winter storms, things like that have really affected the industry. So we don't have any more of those extra days, probably warmer weather moving forward, and you know, no more of that, and underlying volumes have shown improvement. So it's been over 2 years since the first year-over-year decline of this freight recession. And with destocking playing out and goods consumption rising that we've talked about in previous videos, saying that, look, Americans continue to spend. This is what we need. We need spending. We need to have spending. And in order for the industry to work, I mean, in order for inflation to go down, they need to make money more expensive. That's why we're not going to see any sort of cuts anytime soon as far as interest rates and baseline rates. So it's been over 2 years, and the destocking playing out and goods consumption rising, we see that this improvement as an encouraging sign that a recovery is beginning. Again, macro, not micro. You have to pull out. Things are getting better. The Cass shipments and expenditures sub-index provides a close correlation to actual freight rates truckers see in a market. So this is something that we should watch, because a lot of these indices, if you will, they give us a lot of information, but they're very difficult to correlate to actual information for the trucking industry, for owner-operators, for, you know, a carrier with one truck that he's running that he started like 3 months ago or something like that. So there's a lot that can be said about that. So the Cass shipments and expenditures sub-index provides a close correlation to actual freight rates truckers see in a market. And this index showed that January's rates were down and February's rates were flat when seasonally adjusted. So let's look in April in terms of what we're going to be able to see for March. We're always a little bit delayed. So again, just a quick reminder, like and subscribe. Guys, oddly enough, we're also seeing fleets adding trucks. And this is going to be the biggest caveat. The one thing that we've seen, let's see, how do we do this? Boom. We'll come back to that. The one thing that we've seen is that as soon as there's a let-up of any sort in terms of the markets come up a little bit, rates come up a little bit, volumes come up a little bit, tonnages come up a little bit, the cutting of freight rates stops. Okay? Let's see if we can, maybe that's a little better. The cutting of freight rates stops. People begin to jump back into the industry. As soon as there's any sign of improvement, people begin to jump into the industry. And what we've seen is more and more MC closures. And then all of a sudden, the rates come up a little bit and we see more trucks coming in. And we're going to talk about this as well. This is super, super important. Let's kind of jump in here for just a moment. I'm going to show you this. We're seeing a lot of trucks being added, as mentioned. Freight rates are incredibly low, in some cases below sustainable operating costs. We've talked about this as well, you guys. That is the case. We've covered operating costs ad nauseum, right? And we have videos. You can watch those. I'll show you guys how to do it. You can even give me a call, plug in your numbers for you, come up to your bottom dollar. I mean, everything I can do to offer you guys help, I'm here for it, okay? Yet the trucking companies continue to buy new equipment. Now, there is a portion of the market that's going to be constantly in the market, and they're going to be renewing their equipment. You have to remember the one differentiator is taxes for large carriers and small carriers. Large carriers think ahead. They look at, they're constantly looking at their books. They're looking at how much money they're making. They're looking at depreciation and depreciable assets. They're looking at their depreciation schedules. They're looking at, hey, you know, we need to buy some more trucks. Hey, we need to buy some more trailers. Hey, we have these 300 trucks that we need to get rid of because they're fully depreciated. Now we have to replace them. Hey, we're making too much money. We're gonna have a higher tax liability. We need to buy some additional equipment, or we don't have the depreciation to reduce our taxable income. Regular truckers don't think about these things. We think of ourselves as small time. We shouldn't. We think of ourselves as small time, but it doesn't matter if you have 100 trucks or just one. The system is the same. You know, you can still hire a CPA or someone who can actually do this for you. That's called tax planning. And it's super important because it will make a huge difference in your bottom line. So new equipment is entering the market. These capacity additions suggest that the long bottom in the freight cycle may lengthen over even further. So what it means is that if we're constantly going to be adding trucks and new MC authorities every time we have a slight bump up in the rate, or some sort of improvement in industry, we're never going to be able to get rid of the excess capacity. Eventually we will, but a lot of the companies that you know, they're going to have to go out of business basically for that to happen. Class 8 truck orders were up by low double-digit percentages in both January and February. Way to go to start the year, right? So that means that the industry is expected to improve. Companies think that things are going to get better, and I think they will. Thank you guys in the chat. Please hit the like button. We're going to get through this here real quick, switch over, and we're going to talk a few other things as well. So the shipments index is something else that we wanted to look at. It's forecasted to increase seasonally, adjusted in the first quarter. Right now, we've saw that's what it's referring to. Now, with expectations of turning positive all year over year in basis in May. Again, just last week's video launched on Friday. We talked about exactly that. We're looking at April, we're looking at May, and into your summer months. That's going to be an indicator. With reefer season coming in right now, that's a big, big deal. Next, we got ourselves the Cass Truckload Line Haul Index. Also positive notes, which excludes fuel and accessorial charges, but it was slightly higher from January, but 5.4% lower year over year. So still on the decline, but again, macro level, not micro. You have to see improvements because this indicates stabilization in the freight cycle with rates below sustainable levels in many cases. So there's the amount of freights improving. The problem is that more and more truckers are entering the industry. We don't have a driver shortage, guys. Everyone keeps talking about driver shortage. And I know that we ourselves have made videos, but people miss the part in those videos, it seems like, where we're actually saying, look, it's the big companies that have a problem with hiring. They're the ones who have a problem with retention. These are the guys who struggle basically keeping drivers. So ultimately, the data suggests that a slight relief in the freight cycle is in February, with improvements in shipments and expenditures compared to January, but still lower than the previous year, which year over year, we're constantly down on everything. We're not out of the woods yet. Strong equipment orders and ongoing regulatory considerations are factors influencing the freight market's trajectory. Guys, a few months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, we made a video talking about that 2024 was going to be a year of cutting down fatalities. It's going to be the year of safety, of additional features and new laws that are going to further limit you guys, truckers, from doing your job or make it difficult, all right? Make it more difficult. So there's that. The final one that I did not get ready for you guys, not in this format, is the U.S. and Mexico trade. And we made a video about that as well. While we're here, please let me get rid of this here. Subscribe, and what we'll do is we'll go to our homepage here and then switch over. And speaking of our homepage, we'll do a little break. I wonder if I can, let's do this. Let's do a little break. I'm going to show you guys this. Our homepage, super simple, right? Super simple. We get a lot of leads that come in after these live shows. Well, I guess I shouldn't say a lot, but we get some. We get leads after our weekly videos. People, find it interesting that they're running very similarly to what we're presenting, but they're not making that kind of money. They see that we're not doing anything illegal. They're running, all our drivers are ELD compliant. They're running within hours of service, and they're making just more money. They're running more efficiently. They're making, so a lot of times that's when we receive the calls and things like that. So we do only two things, very, very simple. And they're right on our homepage. We provide dispatch services. If you have your own MC authority, you come to the homepage, aftdispatch.com. You click that. This thing pops up. You fill it out, hit submit. It'll say thank you. And we'll call you. We'll get in touch, and we'll also send you some information in your email. Okay? Same thing with leased on owner operators. Right there. Hit it. Less questions. Name, email, phone number. We'll send you some stuff. We'll also get in touch with you and talk with you. If you're a carrier, you're probably going to get in touch, get a call from me or from Alex. If you're a leased on owner operator, Kevin's your man. That's the guy you want to talk to. And again, we provide a ton of information. We just had a new article published, how truck dispatchers can revolutionize your trucking business, shifts in the trucking industry in terms of inflation and growth, the benefits of being an owner-operator truck driver. This one's kind of cool. I really took the time on the graphics on this one. So a lot of really good information about like building your legacy and whether or not the industry, is there still life in it? And you guys can get all this information on our website. There's so much content here. Like some of the previous ones is probably on the bottom here, but if you ever wondered if can truckers carry guns, I made an article on that one as well. Let's see if we can get to it. So here's that, right? Local laws, everything, a little legal statement and things like that, because we certainly don't want you to, let me see if I can go back like this. Yeah. The untold truths about, the 5 things truckers wish they knew before starting a trucking company about becoming a trucker. Is it worth it to become a CDL driver? Things like that. The 5 types of different truckers. This one's amazing. The ultimate IFTA guide for truckers. If you ever had any questions about IFTA, this is your post. Like it's extremely, extremely detailed. We go into every detail with pictures, with information, with interlinking to other sites. I have no shame in linking to federal websites, and I give you direct links to exactly the information you're looking for. There's, like I said, we take a lot of time. We go through the stuff to make sure that you guys get the very, very best and don't waste your time with that kind of material. And then let me go ahead and actually close this out. And I want it to go. So we'll go to the homepage. So yeah, again, 801-448-6363. You guys can get more information on our website. Everything's always available there. And we'll switch that over. I'm going to switch this over and talk to you guys about the U.S.-Mexico trade. Now, we made a video about this not long ago. And a lot of folks didn't really catch on, I think, that nearshoring is a real thing. It's happening. It's changing the entire industry, because we dealt with so much with China. China is actually still a major partner, but it fell back. We're switching over. We're having companies built on a border with Mexico. We're switching to a point where we're dealing with a lot more Mexico product, assembly, a lot closer building and doing a lot bigger investments there. And they've become a huge partner. Canada fell into a lower position. Asia, different parts of Asia, but primarily China. We're shifting gear as a country. Nationally, we're shifting gears. So the U.S.-Mexico trade, what we're talking about here, I took a couple of pages of notes here. I think this will make a lot more sense. So, and if you wonder about it, just type in Mexico on our channel. You'll find that it's the thumbnail has a Mexican flag, I believe, on it, and you'll be able to see that and gives you a lot more details. But I think this here will be even more updated. The U.S.-Mexico trade overview. Okay, so here's what we got. Mexico was the first trading partner of the United States in January 2024 with two-way commerce totaling $64.5 billion. This marked a 1.1% increase year over year compared to January 2024. Now, Canada ranked as the second top trading partner with $59.7 billion in trade, while China was the third ranked with $47.9 billion in trade. Port Laredo, Texas, ranked as the #2 U.S. trade gateway in January with trade totaling $25.1 billion. So Texas is going to play an incredible role in all of this over the next several years. That southern market, we need it to warm up. We need things to get a little bit better in the south and the southeast because of the weather in the United States during the winter. It just completely destroys the market. So if this could give us a little bit of a boost, we'd have a lot more balanced of a freight market. Now, top gateways and imports exports. So the Port of Los Angeles was the top international U.S. trade gateway, handling $26.5 billion in trade, whereas we just talked about $25.1 billion went to Port Laredo, right? Port Laredo. So Port Laredo saw significant trade in auto part imports, commercial vehicles, passenger vehicles, as well as exports such as auto parts, gasoline, and diesel engines. Now, you guys have seen these guys, Nagels, or Nigel, I guess I should say. So they're a global logistics powerhouse. You've seen everything from rail to all sorts of, warehousing and in every part of logistics. So they're a powerhouse that plans to build 2 facilities in Texas along the U.S.-Mexico border over the next 2 years. They are bullish on the growth of cross-border commerce among the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So again, major investments in that area, major investments into Mexico, into the border. As far as acquisitions, they've recently completed the acquisition of Ontario-based customs broker Farrell to enhance their customs capabilities, especially at the Canadian and Mexican borders. This acquisition aligns with their focus on cross-border trade. So this is going to be basically the Americas, right? So we're talking. We're going to be doing a lot more business with North America, so Canada, U.S., Mexico, and other parts of the South American continent. So investments and border facilities. So now we're looking at investing in warehousing. I mentioned they're very big into warehousing and a lot more in rail. And this is going to be happening in El Paso as well as Laredo to support the growing cross-border trade activity. So again, fantastic. El Paso, much needed. So what they're looking at is that the new facilities will be modern and state-of-the-art, reflecting the trend of nearshoring across industries. There it is, nearshoring. This is where the future is. We're going to be everything's going to be broken up into these like micro economies, and everything's going to go into these because the trucks, they're going to start working on the hotshot LTLs and all that stuff first before they start moving to the semis. So the semis are really going to be some of the last ones that are going to be changing in terms of efficiency and safety and pollution requirements, and then the automation and all that stuff. So Mexico's importance in all of this is that trade is emphasized by factors such as skilled labor force, low labor costs, strategic geographical location, and numerous free trade agreements. These factors contribute to Mexico's significance, not just for the U.S., but overall in intermodal international trade. So Mexico is going to play a huge part in all of this, and it's super important that we understand that and that we begin to basically find customers in those areas. All you need is just 3 customers, right? So or sometimes you just need one direct customer to be able to make top dollar. I mean, that's what I've been able to do, and it's worked out really well for me. I know other guys do that. I know some folks here in Salt Lake who have a knack of finding their own customers, but Salt Lake is really far away from the border, right? So Utah is far away. But if you're able to make connections on the border, you're going to get direct freight. That's always going to pay a whole lot more. So you got to definitely milk the industry for the time being. But guys, any questions, comments, anything like that, give me a buzz here. Number's 801-448-6363. You can hit extension 3 and it'll come here. We'll get you live on the on the call here, and we're gonna answer whatever questions that you might have. For some reason, I haven't seen anything in the chat. Something's not okay. There it is. I apologize, guys. So Michael Proctor, I just saw maybe there were some chats prior to this, but it says love the information. Good info. Thank you so much. Now I'm seeing the chat. So Michael Proctor also said, had a fantastic week pulling reefer, $7,000 gross, 2 loads, 2,700 miles. Fantastic, man. That's a great rate. 2 loads, and hopefully they weren't even too heavy. 2 loads. Good long intro though. Glad to listen. Hey, thank you so much, John. Sorry about that, the long intro and all that. Just trying to learn the system, man. Just trying to figure out how to get all this stuff to work so we don't create all kinds of noise that we've had at the very beginning. Thank you very much. And again, I do apologize for taking so long to get back to you guys on these on the chats. Just did not appear. So yeah, thank you so much there. Give me Jesus and God, please, through in Trump 2024 for good roads ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Good roads ahead. Hope everyone stays safe. This weekend has a fantastic week coming up. Tomorrow's Monday. Be safe, make your money, but, take advantage of everything that the market has coming, because things are improving, but we're going to have to get through it in a very, very slow manner. And things will have certain retracements. They will have, at other times, things will happen where rates will come up. You got to ride that roller coaster and average out. And that's what I always say about the dispatching side of things. We have actually an article on our blog where it talks about like what the differences are in the experience of truck dispatchers and why that's so incredibly important. Because you guys got to understand, there's so many choices now, and then some people are better than others in terms of selling themselves and saying that, hey, I'm the best dispatcher ever. But it's always in the experience. Like one of the things that really rubs me the wrong way, something that I've actually been seeing here for a good while, is online when you have companies that claim, and you could read through this stuff and you could see that their claims are erroneous. They're just made up, where they say we have dispatched, I don't know, like 100,000 carriers. We have moved, 10 quadrillion pounds of freight and blah, blah, blah. And then you go look, there are multiple different ways. Company registrations, you can look at their website, who is data, and you'll see that they just got into business, or they opened up their website a year and a half ago, and they're ranking high because they're saying things, they're presenting information that isn't actually true. I've called some of my competitors. I've talked to some of these guys. It's nothing like what they present on their websites. And that's the problem with it, because there's so many choices. It's very, very difficult to come down and figure out like, well, who's lying to me here? Because I know somebody's lying, but who's lying to me? So it's super important that you guys have that, in mind, so that you guys can really clearly differentiate between one person and another, because in the process, you're going to lose a ton of money. If the guy's just trying to make a little bit of money off of you because his operating costs are lower, his living expenses are lower, he doesn't really care for you or your business, but you're putting yourself in a position of going out of business just because of that. So definitely. Now, Dominus Logistics says, your brokerage steals from the driver, just as all brokers do. Freight brokering should be outlawed. You are all criminals. All right, well, Dominance Logistics, I would highly recommend going to the FMCSA's website, the DOT's website, and actually getting the definition of what a brokerage is. The number one, first or second thing you'll see in our carrier packet in bold centered is that we are not brokers. It says AFT Dispatch is not a broker. So let me get something straight for you. How do you run right now? Do you have 100% all your own customers? Is that how it operates? You also mentioned, it said macro. Micro, this clown sounds as clueless as Biden. Next, he'll be blaming Snickers bars for brokers taking drivers' money. Sir, well, if we're going to get into that kind of game, do you get all your freight directly from somewhere? Or do you use brokers? These same people that scam you and screw you and all this other stuff that you claim. The other thing is, we're not a broker. We've never been a broker. We don't have a bond. We've never brokered any freight. Freight that runs in-house. Freight that runs outside under someone else's MC authority generates a carrier rate confirmation with their MC authority, with their address, with their name. It's their receivable that goes to their factor, that the factor buys and pays them out. So where are we stealing? What exactly are we stealing? We're giving you the original rate confirmation. All of the money, 100% of the proceeds go to the carrier. Where are we stealing? I don't quite understand. And I think it's really important before you accuse people to actually learn their business model. I mean, I've been doing this for over a decade. One of the first dispatch companies in the nation. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. We are not a brokerage. We do not steal. You get every rate confirmation. We negotiate on your behalf. Our customers make more money than they were prior to coming to us. Our customers, even if they made the same amount of money and they broke even after our costs, they got that money with less headaches, with no issues, with a direct dispatcher, with all the paperwork handled, billing and invoicing, credit checks, all the factoring sides, dealing with the brokers, with the customers, with the shipper, and they make, let's say they just break even, they make nothing, not a 1 red cent more, but all of that's taken care of for them and it costs them nothing. Is that stealing? I'm kind of glad these chats didn't show up, because I think I probably would have lost it here on Dominance Logistics. And I think you may need to rewind the video and see where I'm actually talking about macro and micro, because I brought that up in multiple sections of the video, multiple times. Maybe you left at that point. So, and James West, hello from Orange, Texas. Well, hello from Salt Lake City, sir. So yeah, guys, we're not a broker. Never been a broker. Don't plan to be a broker. If we ever become a broker, I'm going to let you know. If there's any sort of conflict of interest or anything like that, I'm going to make it known. I'm going to make it known. There's a reason, and some of you guys that I've talked to on the phone, I've told you guys very, very clearly, there's a reason I didn't do that, because I don't want the possibility of ever getting into a situation where we're going to have the opportunity to be able to take something off the top. Having a brokerage house, having a brokerage MC, being a broker as well as a dispatch service, that's like an oxymoron, right? Because I could just broker the deals to you. Why do I need a dispatch service? And why the dispatch is so important is because they're on your side. The dispatch is your buffer. You know, like they're fighting on your behalf. They do this all day long. They're better at this than the average trucker, than the above average trucker. It's not even about being a trucker. It's about being a business person. It's about being good at sales. It's about being able to do the same damn thing every single day for months and years at a time. You learn over time. That's what happens. Reputable Rides. Hey, good to see you. Reputable Rides in the house. What up? What up? Absolutely. So it's super, super important, guys. Don't listen to the haters. Guys that say we should be getting a minimum of $3 to $9 a mile on what? Okay, I agree with you. $9 a mile for for a 100-mile run. Okay, I agree with you. But if you're trying to run 2,700 miles, 2,800 miles, 3,000 miles, how do you plan to get $9 a mile? Even regional contracts with direct freight straight from from the manufacturer don't pay that kind of money. Where do you guys get your information? What forums are you reading? Where do you guys get your information? What are your options on power only? I'm getting paid $3,400 for 2,000 miles, flatbed power only. I mean, honestly, I'd like to see that higher, to be honest with you, considering the additional costs and expenses, and really with a flatbed, if you have a power only flatbed, that's more of a loadout and not a towaway. If it's a towaway, I think that's fine. But if you have a flatbed and you don't have any additional equipment, like no straps, no chains, no binders, no tarps, no nothing, you can't really do anything with it, then it becomes really, really difficult, right? So power only is great, but I'd prefer a power only to be a dry van or a reefer without the reefer unit, or if they have it, even better. But with just taking an empty trailer, during the winter, I probably wouldn't jump on that. But we don't have any power only options right now. I don't believe that the market has any options. If you're a new carrier, if you're newer to the industry, if you don't have a lot of references, if you are not in a position to kind of to actually dictate anything, your safer's not clean, you don't have inspections, you don't have any of those references, you don't have companies you've hauled a whole bunch of freight with, you know what I mean? If those places, I wouldn't even get into that. Now, Ed's saying, how would it be, or what to expect if you dispatch me with a new authority in the first 60 to 90 days with you guys? I have TQL, would be the main broker for a month. Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere, Ed. I'm sorry, man. The truth of the matter, and this is something that I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk with you guys about that. So I talked to the guys in dispatch. Once again, things are just constantly getting worse and worse and worse. At this point, the bare minimum that you have to be in order to be able to actually go out there and make money is 90 days. Even if you're approved with TQL, we had a customer just recently, they were approved with TQL, but TQL, they approved them to get set up with them, but they won't give us any freight. Eventually, they did give us some freight, but it was like the cheapest, worst garbage that was out there, and that's the only availability. Some of these guys are set up with C.H. Robinson, some are set up with other companies, but then they don't give you the freight because of the same exact limitation. So they're open to setting you up, but they're not open to giving you freight. Your first 60 days, your first 30 to 60 days, do all you can to make some money, all you can to generate some receivables, all you can to get some inspections under your belt. Remember, guys, you want to make sure to submit your positive, clean inspections to the local DOT so you can get credit for it on your safer snapshot, right? If you get a clean record and you don't submit it, generally the cops don't submit it. They do submit it if you got something dirty on there, all right? So don't worry about submitting those and incriminating yourself. But the good ones, you want to make sure to get it out there. So you want to get all your permits, you want to get all your Oregon, New Mexico, Connecticut, New York, all of that stuff out of the way, and your Kentucky. Get all of that taken care of. Have your factoring in place, have your fuel cards figured out, have all your accounts, make sure your driver files are all set up, make sure your equipment files are all set up, make sure you're completely and fully qualified to pass your new entrant audit. especially if you're going to have a tough one. Make sure you haven't missed any. You have so much work to do once you've opened up your MC Authority, and going out there and driving is not the work, because you're going to say you do find something, crappy load this and that, and you're going to go somewhere, not going to find anything, nothing. You waste your day. Then you decide to finally deadhead 300 or 400 miles. You find something, they load you, they don't load you. You're frustrated. By the time you come back, you realize that you just wasted a bunch of time, ate through a bunch of money, burned it through through all the diesel, nothing, everything's, and maybe on the way you got a ticket or something like that. There's so much stuff that you want to get taken care of. So I honestly, Ed, I would say that even if you're set up with TQL and even a handful of brokers, your first 30, 60, 90 days are going to be really, really tough. Once you hit 90, it becomes easier. Back in the day, it was 90 days. Back in the day, you could even run at 0 days with TQL. We had customers who actually set them up at 0 days with TQL, and we ran them. We had a customer who, from 0 to 90 days, we basically ran and we were able to make the money every single day. Those days are over. Those days are behind us until the market fully changes. So it'd be really, really tough. So yeah, with your already secured. Yeah, so you already got your, for reputable rides, you already got that trailer. So if you have the right equipment for your flatbed, then of course, flatbeds are doing well. There's good money in it. There's a lot of opportunity in that market. And we could help you out, but you want to make sure that you have all the additional equipment, and you want to make sure you don't go with the 48 footers. If you can still make money with them, but if you can find yourself a 53 footer, that'd be great. 51 footers are great. Same with step decks, things like that. Although we don't do much step deck work. So I would, if you're a newer MC, if you're unfortunately in the power only market, deal with well-paid towaways if and when you can find them. And for loadouts, stick with dry vans or reefers. Okay, but preferably dry vans if you can. And make sure your interchange coverage or your non-owned equipment coverage covers enough. So let's say upwards $80,000 for reefer coverage. Not for reefer breakdown coverage, but for reefer trailers that are non-owned, and upwards of about maybe $50,000, $60,000 for your dry van. So just make sure you have that taken care of as well. Looks like we got some folks calling in. I'm just gonna go ahead and avoid that one. Okay, so let's just finish up. That might have been one of our guys. If you were calling, please just leave a comment there so I know, because I just don't want to take a live call for someone who's actually interested to get our truck dispatch services. Since Alex is not here to screen calls today, it makes it a little bit difficult to do that. So yeah, Gerardo Gomez says, what is the process of leasing on? Do I need to shut down my own authority? How do you submit DOT inspection reports? Okay, cool. So awesome questions. It looks like they left a voicemail. Alrighty, so very, very good questions, you guys. Or Gerardo, sorry about these notification sounds, guys. Let me get rid of that for you. Oh yeah, so James West called in. James, I will call you right back. We'll get this thing taken care of. I wasn't sure if that was you calling or who was calling, so I will make sure to call you right now in a few minutes. Let me just answer Gerardo's question. Gerardo's asking, what is the process of leasing on? So the process of leasing on is just like if you got a job with a trucking company, right? So we go through the background, all the stuff, contract work, figure out all the expenses, things like that, what the costs are. I would strongly encourage you to talk to Kevin about that. Reach him. You just call 801-448-6363. Hit option 1, then option 2. That'll go directly to Kevin. You can get his direct line and whatnot and talk to him. Definitely your best option. Now, the second portion of your question is, do I need to shut down your MC authority? You do not need to shut down your MC authority, but what you do need to be aware of is that in order to keep your MC authority active, as you likely know, you're going to have your at least the auto liability portion of your truck insurance still active to keep your MC active. So, but when you lease on, you're going under the umbrella of another MC authority. That means that you have to pay that insurance. So effectively, you're going to be paying two insurance policies. And this is kind of a tough market to do that. Now, if you can go ahead and talk to your insurance company, say, hey, listen, here's what I need: a minimum $750,000 auto liability policy, take off my trailer, take off this, take off that. Get bobtail coverage through them, maybe take off some of the other duplicate coverages that do not affect the stability of your MC authority, and then carry that over to the leasing company, because you're going to pay that over there anyway. Then you can at least limit that exposure and not have to pay as much money unnecessarily. So let's go ahead and take this call here. It looks like James West is calling us. Hi, James. Hey, James, this is Vitaly, AFT. Yeah, how's it going? Good to hear from you.
Pretty good. I was watching the call in. I was calling in to go over some TQL that I got done with.
Oh, good.
Are you still alive?
Oh, you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, are you still alive?
Yeah, we're still live. We're right there. I noticed that you had called in. I'm not sure how the audio's coming through to the guys because like we've had some audio problems, but let's try to see. Let's figure it out. Let's see if maybe the people let us know how you sound. But yeah, what can I do for you, James?
Well, I was going over TQL because I've been in business 3 years and going on 4, and I pulled a load for TQL. And just to give everybody a heads up, I got a port load from TQL. They loaded it, drove to the customer. They offloaded it. While they're offloading it with a new forklift driver, they damaged the product. They signed on my bills that it was damaged, and they put prior to loading.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, TQL still went after me, the carrier, and is charging me $57,000 on a $750 load.
Wow. That's incredible.
Damaged the product. They took it off the trailer. If you want to refuse product, you got to leave it on the trailer. So now we're going on almost a year on this, and TQ never paid their bill for hauling it. So all the TQL things that are there that everybody else is complaining about, I went through it myself.
Did you try to contact the bond company with the surety bond?
No, not yet, because it's in process. I've called TQL. Now, my insurance will pay me, but I'm going to get cleared of this with Progressive, which I'm no longer with. But I told them, I said, I'm not paying that $57,000. I said, I'm going to pick up the product or whatever. I'll pay for it.
Now, you don't have any receivables with them since then, do you?
No, I'm not with Progressive anymore.
Well, what I mean is TQL.
No, TQL won't call me. They won't do anything anymore. I can't haul for them. I wouldn't haul for them ever again after doing that.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't blame you. Yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter is that's how they operate.
You got to take pictures. Well, once you're in a plant or facility, because I deliver a lot to them, you can't take pictures in there. So I had no recourse to say, hey, this is what happened. So since I didn't do their policy, now we're having to fight it through insurance.
That's going to be a lengthy process. Every time I have to deal with insurance, it seems to be but I'm glad you called in about that because I think people need to know that. And Reliable Rides here is actually asking you a question. He's saying, how was the experience with the Progressive claims process? You mind sharing a little bit with Reputable Rides there?
Yeah, Progressive's not going bad. I mean, their representative called me. I sent in my statement because I had to write the same statement to TQL. Everything that happened, all their procedures I went through. I sent the same thing to Progressive. And we're basically waiting on TQL because TQL is waiting on the customer because the customer has no proof of damage.
So it's going to be a lengthy process.
The customer wants their product, but they don't want to pay for their product. They want the carrier to pay for the product.
Of course they do.
So it's a scam.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of that, and the problem is a lot of the contracts that we all end up signing when we, because when's the last time we read the full entire contract in one of these things? They're freaking books, and
right.
And then they'll, needless to say, at the end of the day, at the very bottom, usually they'll say that we can amend this thing and you agree to it and auto renews and blah 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 blah. I mean, you're signing your life away with some of these things. So it's really pretty terrible in that sense. And I'm glad you don't have any more receivables because TQL is known for holding any future receivables. And sometimes and this is something that they did do with other carriers as well. And for those of you guys in the chat, for the viewers out there, keep this this in mind as well. This is something that's known not just by TQL, but other companies as well. Not just trying to rag on TQL here, but the truth of the matter is this. They will, let's say you have a load such as James here. Let's say the load's, the claim's out for, let's say $1,000 or $50,000 for that matter. It doesn't matter. What they do is they won't tell you about it, and you'll keep running loads with them. And then what they'll do is they'll run up a big old bill. Then they'll come back out for a load from, 3 months ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, and they'll say, well, you owed 50 grand here, and you have, $43,000 in receivables through us, so we're going to put a hold on that. Now we're going to take all this, and you owe us the other 7 grand. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute, that's $40,000 worth of gross that I'm not getting any of it from. And that's how they steal your money. That's how they do it, because they know that market's tough. One truck owner operator may not be able to cover. And if you have, like one of the guys that we made a video about where he had multiple drivers, and you got to pay the drivers, you got to pay for those trucks, you got to pay for that insurance, got to pay for that diesel. They're running all the time. You have variable costs that are constantly there and are dragging their feet, because they know that if they wait long enough and you go out of business, they don't actually legally have to pay you, because the legal entity is shut down. They don't owe this money to anyone. A similar thing happened with was it Convoy with the application, where IKEA owed them something like $500,000 or something like that, $519,000 some change, and they had to go to court and say, well, we do owe this money. We're not debating this, but we do owe. But who do we pay it to? And so it's the same thing, except TQL is never going to ask that.
That's true.
They're never going to ask.
And always don't stick with one brokerage.
Oh yeah, never put all your eggs in one basket.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yep, and that's a great point. One of the there's a gentleman here with a brand new MC Authority saying, "Hey, I'm set up with TQL. What can you guys do for you?" And I hate to say it, but yeah, it was Ed. How would you do? As a new MC, I'm set up with TQL, etc. You're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. They're going to take advantage of you. They know your position in the market. They know where you stand. They know how tough things are, and they know you're between a rock and a hard place. They're going to say, "That's all I got in it." They won't move. Maybe a little bit here and there, but you're just not going to go very far with it, unfortunately. Truly, truly, unfortunately. You got to wait your 90 days out. I hate to say it, but that's just the way it is. And I know your operating costs are high, but maybe opening a trucking company in the moment without the necessary operating cash available to kind of get through the first 3 months of business, if you don't have that, maybe this is bad timing,
It takes a lot of money, but yeah, I'm just getting that out there to warn people.
Yes, sir.
Because I only use TQL every once in a while. I knew they were bad. Oh, just one here and there, and I'll pay $750 to prove that you're a bad person. I don't even need the money.
Sure.
I do very well. So if that's kind of a lesson learned, it's going to cost me $750. Hey,
so be it.
Better than a couple of $1,000.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, definitely be careful. Keep all, don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Be careful with the bigger brokers, the big box companies. Learn from what, James has just described. Thank you so much for that, James. I really appreciate it. We're going to get a lot more views on this video and in the replay. I know this is going to help at least someone out there. There's only so many people that we can reach, and it's super awesome that you had called in. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm here every week, man. I thank you for your service, even though we don't do business together.
Sure.
Because I have my own customers and I run local.
Yeah.
But you'd be my first choice if I ever need you.
Thank you, sir.
You'd be the first one I'd call.
I really appreciate that. I really do. I think it's the way to go. And I don't hide this from people. Get your own customers. Find your locals. Find your regionals. Find your OTR customers. It can be brokers. It can be direct freight. You are not stopped. You don't have to have a brokerage. I mean, James, let's be honest. You have your own customers. Did they ever ask you for a bond and ask that if you're an MC, if you're an MC with a brokerage authority? I bet none of them. Never. You don't have anything like that holding you back. So
and you know what you do? You go around your town, you go get you some business cards, and you drop them off. That's it. Just go introduce yourself. Because I'll tell you what, my main customer that I have now, I did the same thing when I just started out.
That's right.
Oh, we got our own drivers. I tell you what, it was a couple months I was on the road. He took my card. He called me up because I live right down the street from him. And one of his drivers hurt his arm. Said, "Hey, I got a couple loads. Can you come fill in for me?" Sure. I said, "Sure, man. I'll be right there." Yep. I'll tell you what, it's been 3 years later. I keep all my trailers there. I love it. I have extra drivers, and I pull every load that comes out of his yard into the lumber company.
That's right.
Then I go and drop off his lumber. Every person I drop off his lumber to, I'm customers of them too.
Boom. There
When
it
they
is.
have loads coming back, I'll do my back haul back.
You guys hearing this?
pay
This is gold.
Huh? You just got to get your foot in the door.
That's it.
I tell you. And once that door opens up, I got more work than I can deal with, because now every one of those people know other people, and they're
Yep.
all calling me.
That's right. Now, where are you from? What state are you in? Where's home base?
Orange, Texas. Orange, Texas.
Orange, Texas. Okay. Oh, that's right. You said hello from Orange, Texas. Yeah, that's right. Well, and I'll tell you what, you just told everybody here my story. And I don't mean to keep you on the phone, but I loved hearing that. I really appreciate it. And here's what happened with us. When we had started, I had zero knowledge of the trucking industry. One of these days, I'll kind of get into it and kind of give you guys the backstory. But in a nutshell, my brother went in, we bought the wrong equipment, we bought a box truck, we did everything wrong. In fact, I even opened the wrong MC. I opened the very first thing I did was screwed up. I opened up the freight forwarder MC authority. I screwed up everywhere you could to begin with. And that's how we found our first customers. My brother's the kind of guy who everybody likes him. You can't help but like him. He's just like the nicest person, and you could see it in his demeanor. And so people liked him, gave us an opportunity, and we started running that box truck. That gave us an opportunity to upgrade, buy our first used semi truck. It was a 2007 Century, I think is what. No, yeah, that's what it was. 2007 Century. We ran that with the same customer. The customers, just like James just described, that we were delivering to, they really liked us. We helped us out. They helped us out and got us, loads coming back on the back hauls. We were being paid on both ends, you know what I mean? And then more customers and more and more and more. Eventually, the primary warehouse customer that we were working with for about 3 years or so, 2 or 3 years, he got his own company driver, so it didn't make sense to keep us around. But nonetheless, that's how we got established, and we started running OTR, bought our first brand new truck, and then, the rest is history, bought our second truck, and so on and so on. And that was how we started. And we still, to this day, have local customers that my brother drives. In fact, starting the 25th, in just a few days, we're going to have a new wave of shipments coming in, all from a local customer we worked with over the years. Management has changed there several times. The warehouses have changed 3 times, I believe. But it gives you the opportunity to park your equipment there. It's all available. You get to know the people. They pay top dollar. And, the stores that you service, they start to like you. They leave a little smiley faces on the BOLs. The brokers see that. Your customer sees that. They're more willing to raise your rates and continue working with you. Has that kind of been the experience you've had, James?
Absolutely. And when I started out, I did use a dispatch service, the same thing that y'all do.
Sure.
And when you start out, hey, I was a driver. I was a company driver, and went and got my own authority, everything from the pandemic that we had.
Yep.
Okay. So it's all your head as high as could be when you start out. When that go flag hits you and everything falls out, you need help.
Yes, sir.
And it has taught me so much. You need people there to help you.
Absolutely.
It will make your life so much easier. You cannot do it all on your own. Once you get it all down, but even use a dispatch company, use them for a while. Use them for a couple of years. However you need to, but always have somebody there that is willing to help you, and you will make more money.
Absolutely. James, thank you so much for that. And I'll double down on that. That's one of the things that we do very, very differently is you get to work with the same dispatcher over and over again. You guys get their direct line. You don't call an 800 number, dial a bunch of extensions, or hope that the first guy that picks up the phone knows something about trucking or knows your company, knows your operations, will actually have a load ready for you within the next little while. That's why you work with the same guys over and over again. You redial, you get to their desk, you build a relationship with that person. Trucking is a relationship business. That's why James has his customers that have kept him around, started from nothing. They kept him around for 3 years. He's got other customers think that it's all relationship-based business, and your dispatchers are your one single sole source of income. You should be treating these guys like gold. They're the reason you're making any money out there, until you find your own customers or get yourself established.
Right. That dispatcher ain't your dispatcher. That when you own the company and you have your own truck and all that, that is not your dispatcher. That is your teammate.
Yep.
They succeed when you succeed.
That's right.
So they're not going to leave you out there hanging with nothing. So they ain't going to get paid. They ain't going to keep you.
Well, that's exactly it.
An employee.
That's exactly it.
They're helping you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, very good points, James. I really appreciate you calling in. What a great call. If you guys have any other questions, please leave them in the chat. Unless you have, and it's just not refreshing. Let me see if I can fix that. refresh the chat. And once again, thank you very much, James. I really appreciate it. I'm
going to get off here, but leave it open for somebody else. But, man, keep it up.
Thank you very much. And don't make it your last. Give us a call. Really a pleasure speaking with you, sir. Talk soon.
Absolutely. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was James West, everyone. Thank you so much. And I would definitely rewind and listen to that part again. Guys, that is a whole lot of really good advice. It goes against my business model. It goes against everything that our business is surrounded, because my goal is to dispatch you guys, right? To get you guys top dollar, to run you guys, to have you guys as our customer. Obviously telling you guys, go get your own customers. Keep doing, and I keep doing this. I keep telling you guys to do this. This goes against everything that we need, because it's better for me to keep you guys attached at the hip, right? So that we can make money off of every mile that you guys make. That's the case. But I'm trying to be honest with you guys and say that if you want to succeed in this industry, you have to go get your own customers. That's the bottom line. They can be brokers. They can be direct shippers. They can be manufacturers. They could be warehouses. They could be 3PLs. They could be storage facilities. They could be anything. You want to go out there and just find those customers. And best of all, you don't have to be a broker to do so. You have every opportunity to be able to actually do so. Now, guys, he said, glad I heard you started with a box truck, because that's where I'm at now. How can I write chat while a live show is going on? Okay, we got some messages there. Some folks are responding. So yeah, we started with a box truck. Yes, my friend, that's exactly it. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say that's the worst way to start, unless you can find some customers yourself and be able to actually go out and take care of this yourself. Now, let me see here. We got a message. Yeah, if you'd like to get on the call, just give us a call. I'm going to send you a message. 801-447-6929 is my direct line. If you call that number, you'll pop up right here, and just let me know that you're calling in the chat. I'll be sure to take a look at that. And as far as Chicago's very own, I wouldn't. So use the intended equipment for the intended market. LTL equipment, box trucks, Sprinter vans, any sort of hotshot equipment that's made for local, regional at the most. I realize the entire YouTube is filled up with people romanticizing the idea of running box trucks and Sprinter vans and just making money hand over fist, and rubbing it in your nose that we're non-CDL, we don't have to do this, we don't have to do that. First of all, you still have to comply with all the requirements and regulations, because you are doing commerce over interstate, right? So you still have to comply with all that stuff. A lot of the hotshotters out there have a really bad reputation, a lot of accidents, a lot of drinking and driving, a lot of issues with hotshot guys. So it already makes it really difficult for you, unless you already have brokers that have tried and true and tested and they like you. So I would definitely look for local customers, charge them by the hour or a flat rate basis, and keep that equipment local. Don't go OTR. You're not going to save on fuel. Once you load that truck up, you're going to get the same fuel economy as a semi. Yeah, your insurance costs are about the same. Your minimum requirements are exactly the same. So your operating costs are not going to be much cheaper, but the amount of freight availability for box trucks, for smaller equipment, for the LTL market is a lot smaller than for the TL market or the FTL, full truckload market. So Chicago's best, Chicago's very own. Yeah, definitely, the very best of luck, but try to get yourself into a semi. It's a night and day difference, my friend. If you need help or anything at all, anything I can help, I'm more than happy to do that for you. I can recommend you some dealers that I've personally worked with more than once, that I know these are good, decent people, possibly some insurance. They're just whatever I can help you with getting those permits. And when I say I can help you, I'm not going to do them for you. I'll just give you the information. You can go do it yourself or hire somebody to do it. I'm not trying to make money off of you guys in any of this stuff. Like, I'm literally just trying to benefit you guys wherever I can. And I'm going to come up with more information and more little PDFs and documents, stuff like that, as I find the time to be able to produce these things so that you guys can use them. What's your take on, so Reputable is saying, what's your take on oversized loads, more specifically ones that don't need escorts? I'm seeing online that they're paying around $4 a mile. So good point. And a follow-up, he said, and also what's more consistent, flatbed or step deck? So I'll start with the second part. Reputable writes, here's the thing. We did do dispatch for some step decks and we were able to make really good money, but I don't want to compare that to current market conditions because it was some time ago and we don't have currently any step deck customers. So I don't want to even get in there. I don't really feel comfortable even discussing that part of the market. Flatbeds are doing much, much better right now than they have been over time. And you can make some decent money. However, the flatbeds are probably going to increase as the weather starts to improve. New home starts or new housing starts, things like that. General construction trends tend to warm up with the weather. So you're probably going to benefit there. And I would see the same benefit for step decks as well, but it's a bit more of a complicated and more for oversized, overweight, or for like equipment moves, things like that. You can't load on a flatbed. Step decks are definitely the way to go on that end, especially your longer equipment, fully tarpable equipment that you're willing to tarp. So there's that. Then you got Chicago's very own says that I'm trying to save my capital to get a semi truck. So fantastic. Definitely be in touch. I think that's great. Just make sure to leave enough capital to have the truck. Do not try to get in without a trailer. Make sure you stay away from the power only market. Don't listen to the knuckleheads talking about that. You can do that if you. You see, here's the thing. Once you're established, you can go and spread out in equipment types. You got a reefer, get a van. You got a van, get a flatbed, right? Something like that. And have, like, let's say 1 or 2 trucks, but have 5 or 6 different trailers, right? Or different things like that. So you can, especially if you're on a local basis and you have a spot to park all this equipment, because now you can use one piece of equipment to basically haul around and make the most money. And that equipment is cheaper to insure anyway, rather than being an OTR carrier that's going to be going around and not sure if this piece of equipment is going to do better in this part of the country or elsewhere. So running local and regional would definitely benefit. And you could use some of those customers that you've developed with your box truck stuff to switch over to your full size truck. So definitely, definitely don't cut those customers out. It might be some of your best customers. As far as oversized, man, I will tell you this as well. I have a good friend of mine. He's in Salt Lake. He's actually originally was being a dispatcher out of Idaho, out of Twin Falls, and he moved out here and he's dispatching some companies. And recently he picked up some customers that are running over the road with multiple pieces of equipment on 48-foot. No, it wasn't. I think it was. I think these are actually step decks that he's running, but they're running exclusively oversized, overweight. He's dealing with all of the permitting. He's dealing with basically all the rate negotiation, all the setup packets, everything that we do, but he does it on an oversized, overweight. He handles with all the city and state and county permits and rules and regulations and everything. He gets all the pricing right, because you got to know, to price it right, considering the cost of permits and in different jurisdictions going to vary vastly. You have to know that, where to get them, how to get these, documents taken care of. And then finally, as you mentioned about escorts. So different types of escorts. There's the guys that carry around the little stick or the big stick, the 10-foot pole. There's all these different expenses, and different places have different rules, and when you can drive and when you can't drive. So I would include all of those things. And number one, I would get the safety book, the green book. Learn it in and out, the oversized and overweight information. Study it, know it by heart, because you're going to need that stuff, and you're going to get into trouble that you're going to have to find ways to be able to get out of that trouble. And definitely get yourself a really good dispatcher and learn the business yourself if that's what you're trying to get into. But if you are newer to the industry, start with basics, keep it simple, then start to expand and get into those areas, because you don't want to have everything going great and then one deal just screws you up so badly that you end up having to go out of business or file claims and things like that. So that's kind of my take. And you can make really good money. I mean, he's ran some loads over there that have taken like 3 or 4 days, but they paid like 18 grand, 20 grand. You know what I mean? So yeah, they run slower. They burn more fuel. There are more expenses. You can only run in like the daytime. Parking's a problem. There's all sorts of issues, but he makes top dollar. And I have friends back east who run oversized, overweight for the last like 30 years or so. These guys made enormous amounts of money. They have their own customers, just like you guys have your own customers with your local, regional, OTR, whatever might be the case. They're doing that with oversized, overweight, and I'm telling you, they make money hand over fist. So guys, there's opportunity in the worst, in the darkest of days. You just have to approach it in such a way that you're not doing it like everyone else is doing it, because everyone else is trying to do the same thing. They complain about brokers, yet they call them. They complain about cheap freight, yet they take it. They complain about brokers, but they don't want to be a broker to themselves when there aren't even broker requirements for them to comply with. They complain about factoring, but they won't build up their asset base or their cash bases to a point where they can actually wait on their own invoices. You know what I mean? Like there's all these things that you have the opportunity, and those services are there as support services for you guys, not necessarily for you to rely on them on a long-term basis. They're like a crutch. You're starting out, get yourself a factoring company, get your cash flow rolling. Fuel is expensive. Figure out which one's going to get you the best fuel. Use their software. Use their web portals. Teach your drivers. You've got issues with brokers. All right, don't use them. Go find your own customers. Yeah, that requires effort, but anything hard is going to require effort. So that's the thing. You're going to thank yourself for it later because you only need one customer. You need one. You're not trying to find 35 customers that you can find something to fill up a week that you could broker out onto DAT and cover your operating expenses and then deal with all those truckers. No, you just need one customer for you to deal with yourself. That's it. Very, very straightforward, guys. So yeah, thank you guys for all the comments. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the honesty about the oversize. Yeah, man. And if you want to get in touch with him, I don't know how open he is to doing that, but I could talk to him. This guy that I'm telling you about, maybe if that's something that you want to do, and he might have some requirements for you. I honestly don't know what his operation is like and what he requires. Maybe he's going to say, hey, you got to have 6 months of MC authority a year. Hey, you have to tarp. You have to do this. You have to do that. Hey, you got to give me free hand and booking. I don't know what his requirements are, but if oversized, overweight, on proper equipment, with everything that you need is what you require, just get in touch with me. I'll talk to him if he's got a spot for one more customer, 1 or 2 more trucks or something like that. He's just one guy. He's just very, very good at it. He's proven himself, and he's been doing it actually longer than I have, but not with, with some of the other stuff. I've never even touched it. So I could talk to him. He's a good friend. He's a very good, decent human being, and it would be kind of cool if one of these live shows actually brought him a customer. That'd be awesome. So yeah, definitely. Flatbed is more consistent. Yes, James, flatbed is becoming more and more consistent. I expect an upward trend momentum moving forward as the weather improves. So you're absolutely right, and thank you for highlighting that. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Really appreciate you guys doing that. For now, I'm going to switch over. Let's take a look. What do we got here? Wrong one. Maybe this one. All right, so let's take a look at a few of these things here. So I just wanted to remind you guys, any of the videos that we produce can all be here. Now, today's video is going to look like this. That's the thumbnail. You guys can't see. Boom, boom. Let's get rid of that. All right, so today's video, that's the thumbnail for it. I just did it really quickly. May or may not make sense, but we've talked about the Biden 16-year plan, the man's legacy, and what he's going to be doing with the transportation industry, with our highway interstate system, how they're going to be changing everything into hydrogen, electric, hydrogen systems, and basically upgrading our ports as well as highway corridors to be able to move freight throughout the country, like the veins and arteries that they are. We've talked about that. This is a video that I would honestly highly recommend that you guys watch. I'm going to pause it so you guys, this is the Florida season, produce season. In this video, we actually give you guys details about the specific commodities that have finished, that are starting, and that are going to be coming into the Florida season with some numbers especially for reefer carriers. I want to remind those of you guys who aren't reefers, who are dry vans, you can still take a lot of this freight. If you have a vented van with really good seals on your vents, you can use them in the spring and you can use them in the fall. The cheapest upgrade, the cheapest cheat code that you got, you upgrade your equipment, you're going to make a ton more money. Your very first load is going to cover the cost of that. Everything else is gravy after that. So get your vans vented. So here are your weekly videos that we do. The Sunday trucking show from last week, we just talked about the Logistics Managers Index. The last Friday, not this Friday, but the week before that, we had our trucking show there. We've talked about broker markups, where the numbers are, what's going on, how the industry might change over the years, and how the ports are seeing major volume changes, from the eastern states and going towards the western states, from the southern states going to the western states. We've talked about all this stuff. We've talked about declines in rates and volumes on the horizon for vans and reefers and flatbeds, and we've watched it. We've even had this crazy video about the end of the freight recession. And again, people missed the part where I explained to them that take it with a grain of salt, considering the simple fact that information was looking at January data. Then in February, you're looking at, again, January. In March, we're looking at February. In April, we're looking at March. So you have to consider, again, to that one gentleman, what was it, Dominance Logistics, basically dominating the intelligence on these things, micro and macro. Like I said, you have to look at it from a macro perspective, not a micro perspective. When you guys are looking at individual loads, that's a micro perspective. When you pull out and you say, okay, what's this quarter looking like? What's this year looking like? What's year-to-year data? That's macro. Further out, micro, like microscope. So nothing to you guys. I know you guys know all this stuff, but I'm hoping that maybe some folks that don't, they'll watch this, they'll understand the difference. The bottom line, there's a lot that you can learn. The Logistics Managers Index, look at it. Analyze the data. Look at it from month to month. There, a lot of information from freight waves, a lot of information from sonar. FTR produces a whole bunch of really good information. There's some reefer companies that have been doing a lot of data analysis, and there's a lot of really good information that you can get from these companies to get yourself ahead. Because think about it, if you're running correctly and you're able to operate in such a way where you're running in the right markets at the right time, taking the right rates as you move around, you don't have to look a month ahead, just look a week ahead even. If you have a good week, then another week, then another week, and you have 4 good weeks, sometimes you're going to find yourself being 30 to 50% above the same guys that are on truck stops telling you about the good old days from back in the day and how the trucking has changed, this and that. And you're like, nothing's changed for me. I'm making great money. I've got a strong dispatcher. They're handling everything. Nobody got burnt. There's been no scams. My factoring company paid me on everything. I was able to save money on this. I got my tonus here. The detention got taken care of. The layover, they got me paid on. Great. But people would rather argue with you. I had a gentleman the other day give me a call, and I was handling some personal business, but this is a gentleman that I promised to call back, and it just wasn't happening. And so I called him back on a weekend, and we talked, and then quickly realized that he was just calling me to argue with me. And so I said, all right, that for a while. And he said, well, give me these facts. So I give him the facts, and I can hear from his responses that he didn't understand any of it. He wasn't even listening. He was there waiting for me to stop talking so that he could start arguing with me again. So I tried again. And finally, I got fed up. I said, listen, you've asked me for facts. I've given them to you. You're arguing with me. You asked me for the data. I've literally just provided it to you. You're asking me for this, for that, and I'm giving you all these, and yet your responses are telling me that you're either not listening or you're incapable of comprehending and analyzing this information. So, and he said, I've been doing this for 20 years. Okay, then why are you calling me? So that was a waste. So don't do that. There's no point. I mean, I don't want to argue with you guys. If you know what you're doing, then fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. I think that's wonderful. And there's a lot of folks that I talk to. I say, listen, there's nothing I can do for you. I think you're doing a great job. There's other guys that I've had the pleasure of working with. They said, listen, you're getting about the same that we're getting. Same rates, give or take. But I'm just really sick of dealing with these brokers, dealing with all these packets. Loads fall off. You got to jump in, find another one. You have to save the day. You got to take care of stuff. I'd rather have a dispatcher take care of that for me. Are you guys strong enough to be able to do that? I have these 4 trucks. Can you run these things? We slowly onboard them, a couple of trucks at a time, 1 truck at a time, start running. A lot of these guys remain customers with us loyally for several years. Okay. So the bottom line is that as long as you have a really strong dispatcher and they actually know what they're doing, not just talking, not just fluff, not just saying this or that, or that's all there's out there, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. You really have to understand the way that the markets flow. You have to have data sources, not just looking at DAT rate views and things like that, which are BS rates anyway in the first place. I don't know why people even consider that as actual information. So I highly, highly recommend that you guys, explore your options. Go to other dispatch companies. Try them out. Totally fine. I was on vacation once. Maybe I've told you guys this story before, but I'll kind of quickly go over it so you guys are aware. I was on vacation once internationally. The night and day difference was flipped over. I was working nights, hanging out with the family in the daytime, extremely tired, a lot of work, in the middle of the night till like 3, 4 a.m. Then, back up by 7 or 8 a.m., get a few hours, go out there. So by the time the vacation, I needed another vacation ultimately. But here's the thing. Had a gentleman call me because it was international, the 4G service, this and that wasn't working good, missing calls. Finally, I got to Wi-Fi at the hotel, called them back. We talked about things, said, listen, thanks for calling me back, but I already signed up with these other guys. And I'm going to give them a fair shake. So cool, no worries. And I told him, I said, let me get back to you, in a couple months, and we'll see where you're at and see how things play out. So in a couple of weeks, he actually called me back and he was like, man, these guys completely destroyed it. This is terrible. I'm not making anything. Let's switch me over. Where are your documents? Send them to me. Here's my email. And that's what we did. And he's actually been a customer ever since. So he's still one of our paying customers to this day. And it's been at least 2 years now. This was at least 2 years ago. So it's going to be 2.5 years this summer is how long since that happened. So the truth is, you get what you pay for, and you really want to be in a position of people who are actually knowledgeable and they're not just blown smoke up the wazoo. Reputer Bryce says, go more in depth about the DAT info and rates. He says, why it's BS. I hear everyone goes off. I can't see the last part of that comment. Let me see. Maybe I can. Let's see. Maybe I can copy and paste it here and have an idea. What if we go like this? Let's see what he said. I apologize. So he said, "Oh, everyone's just going off." Okay, cool. Yeah. So the reason and that's a good question. The reason okay, here we go. So the reason I mentioned about the DAT being BS is this. It's actually a very simple marketing dynamic. So if you open up DAT, and maybe that's what we should do. Let me see if I can. See if we can find one of the maps. I don't have the logins here for that, but my browser version isn't supported. Okay, well, that's the latest Chrome, so I don't know what the problem is. And then we have one for the unsupported browsers, which require a login. Okay, that's not going to work. All right, doesn't matter. That's completely fine. So here's the reason why I tell you guys DAT is not the place to go. Oh yeah, everyone's just saying just that. Okay, yeah, okay, cool. So guys, here's the reason why. And I'll even ask you guys, those of you guys who have been self-dispatching, who've been in business for several years, how do you guys usually post your truck? Say you find yourself in Cincinnati. What do you usually do, right? Cincinnati, Ohio, 50-mile radius, 150-mile radius, something like that. If nothing, maybe 300-mile radius, right? And so you're counted as one truck. You ever see load boards like DAT or Truck Stop? You go in there and you're on the phone with your guy, with the broker, and you book a load. And then as soon as he takes it off, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take it off. People are calling me. This load's yours. So he takes it off the load board. And what do you see on a load board? You see like 16 loads just disappear, all from the same broker. And the only difference was the pickup city might be a little bit different. The delivery city may or may not be different. Usually it's the same, but the pickup city is a little bit different. The reason for that is because they'll have a radius, right? And anything that falls out of that radius, they're basing that radius based on what truckers usually search for in their truck postings. Because if you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, you post yourself in Cincinnati, Ohio, and you look at the radius from there, because that's where your truck is. It's only common sense. But brokers want to make sure you're within a radius, because what if you're 50-mile radius, but he wants to be open to 150? So what he does is says, okay, let's do a radius of 150 miles of Cincinnati. Cincinnati does that. I was like, oh man, but Toledo falls just right outside of that. So let's do 150 miles of Toledo. And then, they pick up another city, maybe a different state, and then they'll do that. And then so eventually what you have is you have like the same load posted like 6 times. And so when he removes it, they all disappear. But what does that do to the data? What it does to the data is it says that New Mexico, a state where 9 out of 10 times there's nothing for you to do there, and you better pay good money to go there, especially with permits and everything, and the weight distance permitting. If you're in New Mexico in like Las Cruces or something, and there's nothing there, and it's showing you that this broker's got like 16 loads, and that one's got like 30 loads, and then that one, and that one, and that one, and say in total we have like 150 loads, right? But realistically, there's 5 brokers doing all these multiple updates on there with different cities and different pickup locations and information, looking as individual loads, but you only have one truck. It makes it look like that one truck's got a choice of 150 loads, but it actually doesn't. And then the DAT shows New Mexico as just, bright red or bright blue, and it makes it look like there's just not a lot of capacity and a whole bunch of availability of freight, right? But that's not actually true, because most of the loads are, quadruple posted. And so that's the problem. That's why you can't do that. That's why based on that very same information, then they come up with their rates and they give you the general zones of the states. And they say that, well, here, that's your average rate, and here, 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 and here. And then they also give you the heat maps of saying, where is the freight? What's warming up? And it's good to do that. That's what you should be doing. But the problem is that if you're using the wrong information or erroneous information, then you're making your decisions based on wrong data. So based on that data, you should be hauling to New Mexico like on a daily basis. But we all know that's not the case. Sometimes you'll see like Connecticut bright red or bright blue or Boston, Mass, and some of the eastern states that are generally dead, like Maine will be on fire. And then you go look at it and it's like, well, there's like 4 trucks and there's like 50 loads. And it's not true. You have to look closer because sometimes the same brokers relisting them, and then you have other brokers that are doing the exact same thing, working with the same customer, which is even worse because now you have multiple brokers brokering out the same customer load, right? So at the end of the day, there's only one source of the load, and that's the customer. But if you go off of DAT information, it makes it look like everything's wonderful. And that's the reason why we don't use that information. I get my dispatchers to completely ignore that information. You're going to get way better information by actually talking to people, to brokers, and trying to figure things out. Yeah, so there's I just had a message from one of our customers. I don't know if he's on the chat or not, but if you are in the video, I will get back to you today. I've been actually trying to get in touch with you on Friday, Saturday, as well as today, that I did see your messages. So I do appreciate that, and I will get in touch with you today. So it is Sunday. So I think I kind of went more in depth. Stay away from rate view, stay away from DAT data. If it's trucking data, you can trust it to be true. If it is the brokerage side of the data, it is completely convoluted, screw up, and twisted. So I would not use that whatsoever. And I know that everyone uses that data. I know that people say that, but there's also a reason why you guys aren't making the top dollar. So if you need to make more money, guys, let us know. We do this all day long. We have plenty of, and that was some of my Mexico, the notes I left for Mexico. So, and we can even see, like, I'm going to show you guys like some real examples. Let me see if I can pop this up here. So this is just like last week's numbers. Let me see if I can zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. So, so we can actually see here. So here are some of the guys that I talked to in order. Like, so here's a flatbed that we ran, right? Some people might say $6,300. That's not enough money, but look at how he ran. Look at how he ran. I mean, Texas to Iowa, that's right there, to Iowa. Then again, Iowa to Indiana, same. Indiana, Fort Wayne, 0-0 coming out to Texas. Going to have a good week next week. Yeah, a little bit heavier on the loads, but he's positioned right. He ran really cleanly, really well. Let's see, this one wasn't even one of our top guys, but still. Dallas, Kansas, this is right there on the border. Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma, Iowa to Virginia. 65.50. Yeah, not the greatest rates, but nonetheless, not too bad at all. Let's look at this right here. This was a drive-in. Aurora, Colorado to Glasgow, Montana for $281 a loaded mile. Are you kidding me? From Aurora, Colorado. And then you're going to say, oh, well, it's a beer load. It's 45,000 pounds heavy. Okay, yeah, you could still carry that beer load of 45,000 pounds still for half that rate, if not less. You could probably get it for $140, So that is a possibility. That gets you set up. But he went from Montana to North Dakota. Well, let's take a look. So we went from Glasgow to Ross, North Dakota. So let's open that up and let's take a look. Is that like, because I haven't ran these numbers, so maybe I'm gonna look really, really dumb right now. I really don't know what to think. I can't type with this keyboard. Sorry, guys. So that's 200 miles of deadhead. 200 miles of deadhead. Was that worth it for 242? He just made 281 a mile here, 242 a mile here, and 268 because of repositioning. Because from Maysville, North Dakota, this is a good example. And again, I haven't ran these numbers, so I don't know. So then let's go to Buxton. Maybe it's a huge deadhead. I really don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's take a look. 18 miles. So practically down the street, 18 miles. And what we're looking at here is 281 a mile, 242 a mile, 268 a mile on 1,700 miles. And again, you guys can say, well, it's 45,000 pound load of beans, 45,000, heavy. You're going through tough markets, mountains. Well, what do you want to do? This guy ran 2,688 loaded miles at 269 a loaded mile average. Okay, yeah, you ran 44 and 45,000 pound weight. So what do you want? You want to go in flat areas without additional expenses, no tolls, cheap diesel, high freight rates, light trailers, and, and make your breakfast in the morning, I guess. I don't know. Plenty of guys here. Look, 7160, 240 a loaded mile, 269, $2, 202, 223, 252 for a flatbed. Guys, you can make money. You can make money even in this crazy market. If you guys need any help, let me know. Would love to be able to help you out. Literally, let's go back here. All you have to do is go to our website and just fill out the form. So easy. A Neanderthal can do it, right? Remember, guys? You guys remember those commercials for? I think it was Progressive, right? Go to our website, aftdispatch.com. No / nothing. In fact, do / your name. So you say your name is Daniel. You say / Daniel, and that'll bring you to this page. All right. You have an MC, click that. Don't have an MC, click that. Say you do have an MC. You come out here, gives you an idea of what we do. Live truck dispatchers, flat rate service, direct. You work one-on-one with your customer, with your dispatcher. We do all the haggling. We take care of paperwork. We do all the credit checks. We know the good brokers. We have the connections with brokers over the years. We have broker agents that we ran so much freight through them. And so when it's time to scratch our back, and in turn yours, they do that because they don't want to lose us as a customer. That's another benefit if you guys are working with a dispatch company, because we have a lot of carriers and we have a lot of leased on owner operators. You come out here, put your first name, not middle initial, MC number, email, and phone number. Boom, done. You're an owner operator, don't have an MC authority, don't care for an MC authority. Boom. First name, email, phone number, you're good to go. So it's super, super simple, super, super easy. A lot of information. Our blog is currently updated every other day. Tomorrow, you're going to see another post. I think this came out, this was posted today. Possibly, let's take a look. So 17. So yes, that's today. So tomorrow's going to be a rest day. And then the day after that, we're going to see another post. Right here. There's so much stuff here for you guys to study and to learn. And we have so much we can provide you guys that we can benefit you guys with, that I would highly recommend, getting in touch, using us as a resource. Talk to Alex. Has been our dispatcher for many years. He now helps assist me with my day-to-day with the business. Talk to Kevin about the lease on owner operator program. He will get in touch with you guys. He will answer all your questions. He's a straight shooter. He'll tell you how it is, like literally. Here's another thing that I provide you guys here. Boom. Let's see if I can zoom this in so you guys can see a little bit better, because this is super, super important. I'll just read you to the top. Are you a new owner-operator who wants to start working with your trucking business? Do you need help finding loads for your truck and making money? If so, you're in the right place. Now, here's the thing. How to get loads for truckers, a guide for new owner-operators. I literally show you guys how to do it, because I know that if you guys want to do it and you guys do a great job, fantastic, this is the way to do it. I have people that get the same rates as us. I say, keep doing what you're doing, save your money. You don't have to pay us. It's completely fine. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say, oh, you're getting $3 a market, a load all around, gross, loaded, not loaded, whatever. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing better than we are. Now, luckily, I don't run into a lot of people like that. But here's what I put. We're an established truck dispatch service. I was dispatching trucks over a decade ago myself. Needless to say, we've been around. Yet, I'm going to give you a few different ways to find these elusive truckloads so you can make it through the first year. And I explained this here. Again, this wasn't necessarily about your first year in trucking, but again, I wrote this stuff. I want to provide it. I take the time to actually write these things. I don't use as much AI and all this stuff as a lot of the other companies that are just producing clear drivel. AI is good. It does help me with editing. It helps me with a lot of the ideation outlines. It helps me with a lot of stuff, but it makes a lot of garbage posts, a lot of information, and makes up things, creates stats that aren't real, and it doesn't read well. Whenever you see the BS that they start, you can right away, you can see that this is just AI written drivel. So I stay away from that. So the first year as a brand new carrier is your toughest, roughest, and most expensive year. The good news is there are generally telltale signs of positive change happening at different stages of your business. Your first year as an owner-operator is also when you will learn the most. The first year of your trucking company is similar to a child's first year of life, as it's all about learning and assimilating information quickly. It's the same for the first year owner-operators and carriers. All right. And then here I gave you guys, as it says, a brief timeline of your first year in business. Practically no one will work with you during your first 30 days in business. That's true, especially now. Practically no one will work with you your first 30 days in business. A small minority of freight brokers will work with you at 30 to 60 days in. At 90 days, expect a palpable sense that something is shifted. The next step up is at 90 days to 180 days, which is 6 months. Every 90-day step up to 1 year, will be felt. At 1 year, the vast majority of freight brokers will work with you. Some are stubborn and will make you wait for 2 years, but they're few and far in between. There are also brokers who won't work with you at all. So that's the truth. There are some brokers that won't work with you at all. Don't take it personally. They work with an internal roster and open up to carriers from time to time with additional requirements. Finding loads for trucks is one of the most important and challenging tasks for any owner-operator. You need to find the best freight opportunities that match your truck type, location, schedule, and rate. You also need to deal with different customer paperwork and regulations. But again, don't worry. We're here to help you. In this article, we'll share with you some of the tips and tricks on how to get loads, blah, blah, blah. So you guys can read the rest of the stuff, and I kind of explain this. See, I even explained to you guys, I've been doing this forever, and my dispatchers are very experienced as well. My truck dispatchers, and I know the difficulties that you'll face and all the roadblocks in your way. If you manage to figure it out yourself, do things correctly, and become profitable in 90 days, then keep doing what you're doing. You don't need our services right now. Keep learning and earning. If you run into trouble, have questions, or need some advice, you can still call me or my assistant, and we'll help where we can. So really, really straightforward. On the other hand, if you're running into trouble in your first 90 days in business, being rejected by freight brokers, securing cheap freight, having to deadhead a lot, and generally not doing so good, then give us a call. And literally all you have to do is just click it to call us. The thing will pop up. If you do it on your phone, it'll just literally call us right away if you just click the link that says give us a call. Ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. I started in the trucking industry over a decade ago with zero knowledge. Now I'm able to give back, and it feels great. We can help you get rolling through some of the toughest times in your business, especially in today's market conditions in 2024. This is why I'm willing to share this with you. If this helps and you do well, then I'm happy for you, and you should keep going while remaining coachable and teachable. If you find that you're just not cutting it and negotiating for better rates, or hate dealing with packets, or maybe it's just all the billing and invoicing, get in touch with us, because we can handle all of that for you at no extra charge. So there you have it, folks. It will be hard your first year, but help is available. So it's always up to you to blah, 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 how you choose to utilize your available resources. So a ton of information here, little pictures and blah, blah, blah for you guys. There's a ton of information. And here's another one. Pro tip, test your opt-in forms. We had a personal problem, or we personally experienced this problem where our opt-in forms did not work. So we weren't actually getting, you guys were showing interest, asking for information, and we weren't getting any of that. So we had to test it. We had to fix it. It took months of making sure that everything was working fine. Don't fall for the same mistakes we did. That's why we're here. We're trying to help you out. So there's some more questions in the chat. James West said, you can always have a broker as a customer to run the same load over and over again. James West, those nuggets of wisdom. Yes, sir. 100%. We have a broker. I was just talking to him the other day, to be honest. I think it was Friday. And he's a good friend. He's a very good friend. I've broken bread with the man. I've met with him. He's met my family. We've actually went and met with him, with his boss at the time, who's now with another company. Nonetheless, and I talked to him. I have a cell phone. I have all his information. And, it'd be really cool. I actually plan to go visit him again. He's still a broker. But does that mean that suddenly, I should hate these people? No, I've made a ton of money working with that specific broker, and you guys can do the same thing. Find yourself other brokers, other freight forwarders, direct shippers, direct customers, blah, 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 blah. We've talked about it, but you have to get off your butt and actually do it. Make a sheet. I've repeated myself so many times with people. One of these days I'll make a video. Make a sheet, write it down. write down the information, run some searches on Google for these 3PLs, freight forwarders, blah, 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 everything we've talked about, get the contact information, get to the gatekeepers, keep, notes, try to get the information, contact information to the owners of the companies, things like that. Contact them, repeat. Like James said, go out there, shake some hands, drop your business cards, have some flyers, continue to call them, continue to bug them, and eventually they'll remember you. You just have to stay on top of their, stay on their radar. So yeah, absolutely. You guys can fill all this out. And these are, by the way, these are actual satisfied, very happy customers. Now, I know that it says like a satisfied customer, another satisfied, because I wanted to keep their names hidden. So that's why we did that. So these are real customer reviews. As I've been doing business with AFT for years now, and they've been nothing short of amazing. They are, and you can find these right on our Google reviews page. I literally took them from there. So it's not like I just created these. They're knowledgeable and kind. Never once did they lie to me or acted in a dishonest way. They always find me good loads, negotiate the best rates, and handle all the paperwork for me. I highly recommend AFT to any owner operator who wants to grow their trucking business. Fantastic. AFT and their team have been a critical asset in making my authority competitive, not just with their experience and talented dispatching, but also setting me up with their connections in fuel and factoring. They're very friendly and professional, and they always answer my calls and texts. I'm very happy with AFT, and I plan on staying with them for a long time. And there's more and more. There's guys that talk about A2C. We have some, about the leasing side of things. There's a lot of things that can be said. AFT is the best in the game. They really care about all their carriers. They always find the best loads for my truck, and they take care of all the paperwork and communication for me. They're also very honest and transparent. They always pay me on time. They go above and beyond on their customers, and I really appreciate their service. So, guys, really, it warms my heart to hear all these things, but I wanted to make sure you guys are aware. We have these things, and I probably don't talk about enough of them, don't toot enough of my own horn, but we've done a pretty damn good job. I'll be honest with you guys. Our dispatchers are really good. Yeah, sometimes they drop the ball. Sometimes things get screwed up, but we stay on top of it. We have management hierarchy. We have people in places that are sitting there taking care of monitoring. We have people in training. We have people that are always there. Always have one dispatcher in training that's always there. Yes, it's minus out of pocket, but you never know. I might get a customer with 30 trucks coming in, and I'll have to be able to, kind of pivot and change things because I can't give a new dispatcher a ton of new trucks, right? So I have to be able to watch and train and be ready for these things as they appear. And, you kind of roll with the punches. So yeah, let's take a look here. So there's guy Buddy Man saying yay. We got some guys saying seem to always miss the beginning, not the beginning of the show. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I understand you're right. So I'm glad to see you. Thank you for stopping by last week as well, and hopefully we answer some of your questions. But the replay's there. Once it loads into YouTube, you can check it out. We got some cool music playing in the background there, and we covered some notes. And then towards the middle of the video, you'll see there was a really cool call by James West who gave some primo information that he and I discussed. And you guys are more than welcome to call in. We'll probably kind of switch things over for next week. If you have any questions, something like that in the replay, just leave them in the comment section, and I'll go through some of your other comments and things like that, try to answer these questions. I want to make these lives not a waste of time, but a useful, helpful piece of content for you guys so you can use it. So I'm in the future, I'm going to be showing you guys how to open up your NMCs, how to shop around for insurance, how some of those commodity listings on your Safer actually affect your insurance premium. And also the quotes that you guys are getting, how some insurance companies actually lock in that information, and all future quotes will actually be based on information that may have been updated off of your your MCS 150 biannual update that's been removed, but they still use that information. So there are some things that if you do them wrong, they're going to keep screwing you up for years to come. And so if you have to take things and do things correctly, and if you do them, you're going to save yourself a ton of time, hassle, and a whole bunch of problems. In the meantime, guys, I definitely want to thank every single one of you guys for being so freaking awesome and being here with some awesome questions, sharing these things. Please, we're about to end, so hit the like button if you haven't done so. Help us out. Let's get these videos out there to more people, especially today's video. Last week's was really useful, really good, but this week's with James West, that was the crown jewel there. That was the cherry on top. So thank you so much for that. In the meantime, guys, I'm going to switch over here. We're going to go ahead and finish up with today's live. Thank you again for everyone who came by. If you need more information, just give us a call in that number right there, 801-448-6363. We'll get in touch with you guys starting tomorrow, Monday morning. or just fill out the form on our website at aftdispatch.com, carriers or owner-operators. And for now, I'm going to switch over, and I'll catch you guys next week. Thank you, guys. Just got to find the right button. And I got some music for you guys now. Enjoy this.